You're really missing out if you haven't checked out the 1800 House and the Nantucket Historical Association's program. So a big part of Nantucket that the influencers aren't telling you about.
This summer, I'm treating Nantucket Island like summer camp, exploring new activities like pottery, collage, paper marbling, and so much more. You can try so many artistic pursuits on this island. So if you see something new that you want to try, join me for Camp Nantucket.
Hello and welcome to Your Creative Midlife. I'm on Camp Nantucket. I want to share with you some of the fun things that I've been dipping my toe into. So my favorite place on the island, I think, is the 1800 House at the Nantucket Historical Association. It's the antique house on Mill Street where most of their heritage craft programs take place, and it is just gorgeous. You can't believe how beautiful it is inside, these kind of antique colored paints and stuff like that, but also the activities that take place that are open to anyone. Here was something I signed up for. I really had no idea what to expect. This first thing, and this is all about needle crafts, just FYI, I made this fun needlekeep and what they call a needle book and pin keep made out of real Nantucket scallop shells. Your pins and needles, which you're always losing, of course, they all go inside this beautiful little shell. Isn't that fun? I learned it in a half-day craft session at the Historical Association. So if you're on Nantucket and you think, like, I can't spend every day at the beach, and sometimes when the weather's bad, it's nice to have another place to go, you might find a craft like this. And I want to give a shout out to the instructor, Ken B. Robertson, who did this craft for us, all the materials included, including the scallop shells, the Nantucket scallop shells, which were cleaned and with holes pre-drilled and stuff like that. But she's going to be back next year. So if you like this, go on the Historical Association's website and check out their heritage craft programs, and maybe you want to do this next year. I was curious, by the way, about, how many Nantucket scallop shells are there really? At the Wawinid Beach, this is what I came up with, FYI. And people do fun things with these shells. It's just a fun thing to have. Another thing that the Historical Association did this past week was they hosted a very interesting artisan named Richard Saja, who has this fascinating art. What do I even call it? He's developed a product an art type where you take historical toile fabric and you embroider on top of it and enhance it and add colors to it and things like that. And he taught us 4 simple stitches. I didn't do such a good job. I struggled with this one as much as I wanted to really do it. His work is unbelievable. He works with antique toile fabric and is a true artisan. But when you talk to him, and he's a delightful person, you learn that he works on a single piece for 2 or 3 months. And then you realize, eek, I'm not sure this is for me, but it was fun to get all these beautiful embroidery flosses. This is tangled, but it's not as bad as you think. Look at that. Look, I just love colors like this. One thing I learned from a craft like this is I'm not good at everything. I'm not sure I have the tolerance or the patience to do really close work like this. And I want to keep trying. I want to give this another try, and maybe at home where I might have better light or, but some things maybe I don't have a tolerance to learn everything. But I'm glad I tried it. We had a wonderful group and it was fantastic to meet him. Again, that was at the 1800 House, the Historical Association. And I'm really glad I did it. Whether I keep it up or not, it doesn't matter because it was so worthwhile just being there. The next thing is, you might know on Nantucket that this was where Erica Wilson had her needlepoint store. Erica Wilson, if you're not a person of a certain age like me, was a woman who is often described as the Julia Child of needlework, because in the 60s and 70s, she was a very attractive in kind of a free-flowing way, who put needlework back on the map in a very fresh, contemporary look. Needlepoint, crewel embroidery, and things like that. And really made people see a handcraft like this in a whole new light. I knew her not because I'd ever gone to Nantucket as a kid, but I knew her through the women's magazines that we had at my house. She even had a public television program from WGBH in Boston. I'm not sure I ever saw that, but I was definitely aware of Erica Wilson. And when I came to Nantucket, I was like, Erica Wilson, I haven't heard that name in a long time. I'm not sure Erica Wilson was a native of Nantucket, but she lived here for a long time. I think she's a very interesting person and definitely worth more exploring. But the needlework has a deep history on Nantucket. And I want to give a shout out to another podcast. It's one produced by the Nantucket Historical Association called The GAM. A GAM is a very Nantucket word. It's when the whaling ships sometimes there'd be a lot of ships out in the Pacific Ocean, and they would see each other and they would get together, and the captains would gather on one ship and they would exchange information and tell stories and things like this. It's a very, very interesting word, the GAM, G-A-M. And one of the GAM episodes has a whole thing on the School of Needlery, which was a small business that was launched by women on Nantucket to do a mail order school for people in other parts of the country who wanted to learn how to do specialized embroidery work. And they would actually send you a kit and you would do stitchings, and then you would send things back to be graded or commented upon. And it was a correspondence school that it's kind of an interesting idea, right? So that long before the days of the internet when you could learn things online. But anyway, please check out that episode of The GAM, which is an interesting podcast anyway, produced in a small podcast studio in the 1800 house. So, and I've recorded a couple of episodes too, and you'll be hearing those as well. Anyway, long story short, who can go to Nantucket who's interested in doing anything with needlework who has not gone to Erica Wilson? And so here's my first attempt. Actually, I think I tried some needlework in high school as part of like a mini course at the end of senior year. But so I've tried a very simple thing. One thing about Erica Wilson that you should know if you're here on island, at least during the summer, is on Thursday evenings, they have what they call a sip and stitch, where you can go to the store and they have like 30 chairs in a big circle, and you bring your needlework in and you have a chance to sit with other women who are doing needlework. If you have questions, someone can usually answer you. There's small groups. Some bring friends, some bring family. I was at Erica Wilson sitting next to a grandma, a mother, and a 10-year-old daughter who was doing very well. The mom was a real pro. And the grandma, like me, we were kind of trying to still figure it out. One thing about all this needlework is threading the needle is a challenge, but you have to get one of those little needle threaders where you put the little wire thing through the eye of the needle and you pull it out. It's a lifesaver. But this was kind of their starting pack, this little car magnet thing. And maybe you don't know this. Maybe you see this ACK thing and think, how is this attached to Nantucket? Here's the story, if you don't know it already. ACK stands for Ackerman Airfield. Ackerman was the name of the original airport in the 20s and 30s at the very beginning of aviation. And so it still has this airport designation for Nantucket. Nantucket isn't NAN or NTK or something. It's ACK for Ackerman. So those in the know what ACK is, but you see this a lot on tote bags and sweaters and sweatshirts and stuff like that. So that's what the ACK is. Anyway, I'm almost done with this. I'm very excited about my progress, and I think I'll finish it before I leave the island. Take this in. Erica Wilson folks will finish it and turn it into like a little medallion thing with a loop, and I can hang it on my Christmas tree or something like that. So, and I'm thinking, I could really do this. It's a nice thing to have to do if you're watching something like a football game where, where there's a lot of stuff that isn't really happening. I'm sorry I didn't have this during a lot of the World Cup soccer games because you really need something like this during soccer. I'm sorry, that's just me. Anyway, so this is needlework. I would say that this was, as far as experiences go, 5 out of 5. I came away with this fun thing that I will always have, and I need a place to keep needles. And this is a very distinctive place, right? You will always want to have this on hand so you have a place for your needles, which you never want to get lost. And great experimentation on this. I felt like this was really avant-garde and really leveling up the work, the heritage craft idea at the Historical Association. And I get some of these pretty embroidery flosses too. And this, which I think is something that I can continue on. I'll show you a picture of someone I saw at the Historical Association. On Monday afternoons, they have something called the GAM. They just invite anyone who's working on a craft project, the sort of thing that they teach at the 1800 house. You just show up with your project and you work on it there. And if you have a question or a problem you're trying to solve, there's likely going to be someone there to help you out with that. And when I was there just the other day, there was someone who was caning a chair seat. They do that. How about being able to repair your own cane seat chairs, right? Or someone who was doing a really gorgeous needlework thing with all sorts of different stitches, almost like embroidery too. And that was fabulous. And then I saw some kids making transferware mugs and little dishes to take home with them, little keepsakes from their summer on Nantucket. And what a great place. You're really missing out if you haven't checked out the 1800 House and the Nantucket Historical Association's program. So a big part of Nantucket that the influencers aren't telling you about. But I will. How about that? Thanks, everyone. And let me know what your summer was like. What did you try that you didn't think you'd try before? And how did it turn out? Thanks so much.